Sorry, didn't realise I was muted. Yeah, I can see it, man.
Right, no problem. Right, now then. Let's see. Live. And play.
And
Right,
one that the vegans
this
time
should
again
work.
fail to address. We have factory farms because of the push of cultural dynamics. We wanted cheaper meat. We didn't want animals in close proximity to urban
Can you
centers
turn
where diseases could be spread. We invented sustainable
there's any
freezing
chance you can
methods,
do that? Or
and we
is
lost
there
a
some way I
valuable
can do that?
relationship with the meat that was serving as our sustenance as we near eliminated the existence of small local family farms through fierce regulation and being snuffed out in competition by the large meat
And if
packing
anybody wants to
monopolies that would
pause, it
allow
should be
That's
farms
easier.
really
freely and
low. I can
unchecked
just barely
for
hear it.
decades, providing a product at a cheaper cost that killed the smaller industry.
What, the
This
audio
was
on the
only
video?
catalyzed by government enforcement by the FDA, which rushed to
Yeah,
focus to the
How's
safety of
that?
the
I've
product
only got
with
one
near
headphone in, so
zero
maybe it's that.
regard for the treatment of the animals. That very well provided the product, and a steady
A
increase in
little
demand that
louder.
pushed priority
Uh,
of production
I'll try
over
my
standards of
best.
treatment. Number two, vegans don't seem to
It's
have
got
any
on.
actual ethical environmental concerns. Granted, vegans are quick to virtue signal that they care about life and the treatment of animals, yet seemingly don't realize they are simultaneously calling for the genocide and eradication of entire species. Animals in factory farms are no doubt the product of a very genetically watered down stock, selectively bred for its growth, size, and short longevity. These are not animals bred with the potential of a long life, let alone one that could possibly sustain without the support of humans. These animals have essentially evolved alongside us. Can you picture a cow, sheep, chicken, farm pig, or farm goat being able to survive in the wild? Sheep are so stupid, they will follow each other off a cliff if the shepherd isn't watching and can drown in an inch of water. Cancel hunting in the Midwest, and all the deer will go extinct in a couple generations. Not to mention, who knows how many other wild species might be affected by the sudden lack of pasture and farm animals that may also have evolved alongside and rely upon the domesticated stock. Has any vegan ever even supplied an environmental impact report to support their stances on policy and enforcement? I have yet to see one. Truthfully, I would like to think that if vegans had an actual functional moral compass, they would push for improved treatment of animals and the cultural resurgence of local family farms, which naturally tend to give their animals a higher standard of care and aren't held to a production standard that catalyze justification for cruel treatment. With less demand for factory farm products, we could see a cultural shift to once again value the quality of the treatment of animals that produce our meat and bring back local butcher shops that only stock local fresh products. Vegans could buy products only from these types of producers. They could use capitalism to help them sway culture in their direction of ethics and help the farms that are trying to do right by their animals. But no, they want it all to be eliminated and all animal products to be canceled and potentially mass genocide of millions of animals supposedly in the name of ethics. This now brings me to the final point of my opening argument, which of course economical. Vegans seem to suffer from very shallow tunnel vision when they consider potential economic ramifications of their policy pushes. There are more to consider than I have time to mention, so let me focus on a big one, which is the issue of an economic vacuum.
If at
A
any
standard
point
truth of
anybody
humanity is
wants me
that
to
when a
pause for
lucrative business is
commentary, just say
outrun,
so.
a black market always tends to rush in to fill the vacancy. Would animal suffering
Mm.
decrease? Sure, but at the cost of the mass slaughter of millions of animals and potentially the insurgence of a black market meat industry where the treatment of animals would likely verge on monstrous, at levels no modern factory farm could get away with under current regulations. One practical example is the exotic pet trade.
Mm.
Because it is outlawed in many countries, a very profitable, very lucrative black market has risen up that can make millions off
Twist, you're
overpriced,
echoing.
illegal stock that fills their pockets with profit while they hide the animals they are trading from authorities and severely disregard their treatment in the process. Vegans just don't seem to connect these dots. Even if you got your way and we completely culled all the farm stock to satiate your ethics, there is no saying you won't open the door to just a smaller population of animals being treated worse than anything we have in the meat industry today. Either way, you might conquer a big hurdle with lots of people if you could finally find a way to make vegan food actually appetizing to the general public. For wanting to push us all into a radically different lifestyle, you should at least try to create some
Twist, you're
variety
echoing
that
bad.
actually
Oh, he's
tastes
gone.
good and doesn't require a high diet of
Hang on.
soy and the insurgence of estrogen to the body that it provides. And with that, I yield.
So can
I'm
I
back.
can I open it up so I didn't have an opening statement?
If you would like, you can add. You've got a bit of time left.
Okay, well, no, I was just gonna like start.
Oh, I see what you're saying, starting
open
the
discussion.
conversation.
What's your definition of veganism?
Veganism is
according
according to the Vegan Society, it's living a lifestyle that seeks to exclude the exploitation of animals as far as what's possible and practicable.
Okay, so it's not gonna include like eating things like roadkill and stuff. Like if I
Good
eat
question.
some eggs on a free-range farm, you don't have a problem with that?
Well, where did the egg-laying chicken come from?
Like if the eggs are just gonna get thrown away anyway.
But where did the egg lay? Like if you have like you're effectively arguing like for a backyard hen or something to that effect.
Yeah, like if the eggs are just gonna get thrown away otherwise, then what's the
See, I posed it because this has potential to be a good argument, but I've seen this already, as you know, and it doesn't develop into a good argument.
Yeah, and they should just concede instantly because it just follows from their original position that the utilitarians, there's no harm being done, there's no suffering, therefore they cannot have a moral argument against it. They should just concede it instantly, but they don't because they don't understand what they're talking about.
Yeah, this is the thing. Anybody else want to comment before we resume? No? Okay, we go.
problem with me eating it? Because that's not contributing to animal suffering, right?
we can so with eggs and egg laying and that whole thing, that's a whole thing we can get into. I mean, for one, where did those chickens come from? Were they
Well, how is that relevant?
Hold on
if,
1 sec.
If the eggs are going to get,
just to
if
be
it's
sure
not
that we
going to
do
contribute,
hear the, just to be sure that we hear the rest.
Go ahead.
Oh, I wasn't sure if you were. I wasn't
just
sure
don't
if
see
you
how
were
it's
done
relevant.
yet, Anna. Sorry about that. Maybe I interjected too
Can
soon.
I ask a question?
Hold on. No, hold on 1 second. Just want to be sure that you were done, Anna. I wasn't sure. Maybe I jumped the gun too early.
No, it's okay.
I don't see how where the chickens came from
Godless
is
girl.
relevant.
1 second.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
And you too, so okay. So you weren't done. Just want to be sure.
Okay. Let me put it in a nutshell. Let's pretend the chickens came from someone rescued them from a bad situation, or someone went to a shelter and rescued the chickens. What do they do with the eggs? What most sanctuaries do is they feed the eggs back to the chickens, because many of these chickens, the chickens of today are not like the forest fowl, the wild chickens. They were bred to lay an egg pretty much every day, which is not natural. What is natural is 1 to 2 eggs a month, kind of like us. And so what happens is sanctuaries feed the eggs back to the chickens to replenish the calcium and iron that they lost in laying them in the first place. It's a very intensive process. Sometimes it looks like they're giving birth. We have 2 hens, and one of them was raised for egg laying. And the other thing is trying to get away. The last thing is that we're trying to get away from viewing them as a commodity, as something as something that we can take from them. We have dogs and cats and rabbits, and we don't take anything from them.
What do you?
I've
fuck.
paused there, yeah, because things
That's
need
just
to be
the
said.
dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard in my life. Oh my god, you go.
Well, she's talking about the eggs being a commodity, and saying that, implying and outright stating that they're a commodity. Anybody who has had any form of interaction with backyard hens, for example, they lay eggs regardless. You don't do anything to them. You make sure
Yeah.
you don't do something to do.
You're breaking up, Esting. Sorry, mate.
I suck. Am I back?
You're back. You're a crackly bastard, is what you are.
I know.
But yeah, you're back.
I know. I'm echoing through you.
Oh, shit. Okay, hang on.
Can you just local mute yourself for a second? 1, 2. Good. So yeah, she's saying that these chickens and they're not. The chickens are going to lay eggs irrespective of what you. You don't do anything to them to lay eggs. It's a natural process, and despite common vegan propaganda, the chickens actually don't eat their eggs. I will yield the mic.
Yeah, and I think the other thing they were talking about is like we take nothing from our pets. I think that's the implication they made, or maybe the sort of specific claim they made. That's just simply not true. I mean, it's transactional. I mean, to some point, obviously, once we have some feelings for these pets, if you had an animal that you had maybe no connection with, and it's not going to be the same as if you have a pet in which you have love for. Love is the transaction, obviously, in that point. But yeah, it's not like you're not taking something from the animal, right? We modify the behaviors, we remove testicles if needed. We will do all sorts of different things to animals to make them fit in with our human lifestyle. We've bred them to this point. I'm not saying it's immoral, I'm just saying it's a point against what they're saying.
Oh yeah, we had a whole VC about chopping things balls off.
Did you? When was this?
Yeah, it's on the channel. It's in the archive. Check it out. I think it was Paddy and some other people.
Yeah, I was chatting to that Dan guy, and it's funny. Okay, should we move on?
Dan Dynamic. Yeah, what a great
beautiful
debater
guy.
that guy is. Does anybody else want to speak
at all?
Before we resume? Nope. Okay, we're resuming.
What do you do with
I don't think you
eggs?
understood what I was getting
What do you do with your eggs?
We feed them
They're saying
back.
they feed them to the chickens.
Well, isn't that kind of, I mean, ethically wrong in your worldview, or because you were just kind of saying like the sanctuaries do it, and that's kind of like a bad thing?
No, it's a natural behavior for chickens to eat their own eggs to replenish the calcium and iron.
But you eating eggs is unethical.
We don't eat their eggs because.
But is it unethical for you to eat their eggs?
It's just me.
Yeah, because we would be seeing them as.
But it's ethical for them to cannibalize their eggs?
You got audio issues?
Yeah, it just sounded a little lower, but then I have changed my input, so.
Is it too low? I can turn it up a little bit more.
Little low. Denise, you here?
I'm here. Everything seems good.
Oh, okay. It's probably just me then. Yeah, it's fine. Cool. No worries.
You're still recovering from veganism. It's okay. We forgive you.
my left ear is obviously deteriorated. I'll change it to the right ear. I'm sure that will be okay. Thank you.
Right, we'll resume.
Eggs? I'm having a hard time with this.
Well, that's what they do that in nature. Like, in fact, it's such a common behavior that you can Google it, and there's a WikiHow on how to prevent chickens from eating their own eggs. And one of the solutions is to cull them, because to the animal ag industry, it's considered an annoying behavior.
Sorry, I had to pause there because this is just false. Chickens never ever eat their own eggs. I've never seen this happen. This just smells like vegan propaganda and bullshit to me.
We've always had chickens. They've never eaten their eggs, ever.
Yeah, they never do. They don't want them.
Never had. I didn't know if it was our chickens because they were special. Or just...
No, trust me, they're very normal.
Never happened.
Yeah, they don't want to.
Yeah, I can't hear your debate, guys, so I might just leave.
Oh, you can't hear the audio?
No.
Oh.
A little bit low.
I wonder why that is.
It's a little bit low for me.
Let me see if I can do anything about that.
It's the two vegans that are can't hear it. Our brains are deteriorating. The lack of protein.
It's our lack of B12.
Well, you can't hear the video that I'm playing?
No,
Very low.
I did earlier, and then I went to the shop and now I can't.
Yeah, it wasn't
I
allowed
can't.
for me.
Oh.
Maybe you are
let me
not
have a
watching
look.
the live.
No, I clicked on it.
Shown on video participants. That's on.
It could just be.
You could
maybe
turn.
I don't
You
know.
could turn my volume
clicked
up.
on it and then.
Turn my volume up in Discord. Maybe you've got me down
I can
low.
hear you
Yeah,
both
I
really
can
well. It's fine.
do that.
Yeah, I can go.
No,
I
you
can
don't
hear
have to
you all really well.
go. You're supposed to stay. You've got to stay forever. You're not allowed to leave. So I'm going to resume the video, and if you can't hear it or if it's really low, please do tell me. I'm not sure why that would be, but so
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
I'll join and rejoin.
But it is a natural behavior.
Yeah, got it.
And so we just give them the eggs back.
Yeah. And
But
also,
We're getting off the point of what I was trying to make. Say the chickens died, so there's no chickens to feed the eggs to. Do you care if I eat the eggs then?
you're saying if a hen were to lay an egg and then immediately die,
Yeah.
I
Like
mean,
things with like issue, like roadkill or I'm about to throw away this plate of meat, right? That I'm not. Somebody's throwing away a plate of meat, so no animal is. It's not. You're not contributing to any animal suffering by eating it. But then your other option is eat this leftover meat that's going to be thrown in the garbage, or eat an avocado where the avocado is coming from Mexico, where there's Mexican cartels, right? They call it green gold in Mexico. There's Mexican cartels going around killing and torturing people for they're buying rights to all the lands and farmers' lands, water rights in Mexico to give water to these avocados, and the Mexican farmers are like losing. They're like it's just losing all the water, so they can't irrigate their own crops, and it's just causing mass amounts of suffering. So would you eat the meat, which isn't going to contribute to any amount of suffering? It's just going to be thrown in the garbage otherwise, or would you?
Now, I paused it because this is one of those other points that has the potential to be a good point, but she just doesn't deliver it very well.
It depends why you're against eating meat, and if it's animal suffering, then yeah, there's no problem.
Okay, we will resume then.
Would you contribute to suffering by eating the avocado?
So there's two different points here. Just with the avocado, I don't think vegans are the only people who eat avocados. We're a very small percentage of the world.
Hold on 1 second. Let's hear him out.
You heard my question though. I'm just looking for an answer to my question.
you're bringing up a fringe example, like eating an animal that has been hit by a car on the freeway, right? We could formulate all sorts of scenarios in which, for example, theft or murder would be considered moral in this particular niche fringe example. But the vast majority of meat eating is not eating roadkill. So it's kind of a moot point to even talk about. I mean, you're not causing suffering.
Well, what's a moot point is you bringing up that the vast majority of meat eating is not from roadkill. We're talking about veganism. So unless you want to say that it's fine to eat dead animals depending on how you acquire them, you don't have a point. Anyone?
No, I agree with that.
Superb. You seem really cool. I like you already. Let's resume.
No, I mean, I wouldn't want to eat the animal, but I don't have a moral issue with people eating animals.
Yeah, it doesn't conclude in veganism is the point that I was making, and you seem to agree with that, so that's fucking awesome. Shall we resume, or does anybody else want to make a point? We'll resume.
By eating a dead corpse.
I'm asking you what your preference would be in this case. Eat the plate of meat that's being thrown away otherwise and isn't contributing to any suffering, or buy and eat the avocado, which is contributing to suffering. Which would you prefer?
Well, but the plate of meat came from somewhere. It was supplied by a demand. I mean, it
Yeah,
was.
but it's being this. It would be supplied by a demand, whether or not it was being thrown in the garbage. Even if it ends up in the garbage or ends up in a vegan stomach, it's going to be the same case. So that's irrelevant, right? I'm asking you in this particular case. Please don't evade the question. In this particular case, would you prefer the person to eat the meat that's otherwise going to be thrown in the garbage, or go and buy an avocado, which is going to be contributed in suffering?
How do you know the avocado is contributing to suffering?
Because of the things that are going on in Mexico, 90% of the avocados in the
on
United
a
States.
organic farm.
Look, you seem to just, if you want to argue about this particular, you seem to not want to answer the question. I can come up with another hypothetical if you want. It just seems like you're trying to evade the issue.
With hypotheticals, we can get stuck in these hypotheticals forever, and we can talk about what would you do on a deserted island and a number of other scenarios that vegans are often presented with, or we can talk about what is really happening, where people are buying their meat from, which is supermarkets. And like Smokey Saint said, most of it does come from factory farms, because that was our solution to fulfilling the demand of a growing population who wants their meat cheap.
Look, I'm trying to get at the issue of your definition of morality conflicting with you wanting to promote only veganism, right? So are you just saying you're refusing to answer the question? You won't answer the question.
I don't understand how that situation applies to the real world.
Well, look, do you want me to come up with another hypothetical? So what the definition of morality is maximizing well-being. This is just like ridiculous. You're refusing to answer my question. It's being dishonest and evasive is what you're doing.
No, but the thing is do most people eat?
Look,
most people don't eat thrown out meat. Most people buy meat.
I'm asking you, would you have a problem with the person eating the meat rather than the avocado? The meat that's being thrown away otherwise and is not contributing to any animal suffering.
If I could try to just clarify for Godless a little bit, try to crystal the meat already exists. We're living in a factory farm universe where the meat exists. The meat's been killed. It's there. It's sitting on the counter. It's there. Now the person comes in and sees the meat sitting there and says, "Oh, I could have this meat. That's already been killed. And it's sitting there and it's ready to go. Oh no, I'm a vegan. I can't eat this meat. I have to go buy an avocado. But if I go and buy that avocado, I'm also contributing to animal suffering." That's kind of what Godless Girl, I think, is trying to say, if I'm not mistaken, Godless.
Well, I mean, to me, that would kind of go along the same lines as, well, it's not identical to lab-grown meat, but what you're saying is there's a slab of meat that exists.
Right.
In the
it's
world.
already there. It's already been done. Damage has happened.
Right.
We can't take it back. That type thing.
All right, let's let him.
I was just clarifying.
Sentences.
I'm sorry, James. I was just trying to clarify for him. That's all.
Yeah, to me, that sounds similar to the roadkill argument in that you're not causing the death, you're not causing the suffering, you're just eating the corpse.
Yeah, so do you have a problem with it or not?
Well, if you didn't buy the meat, if you're not actively creating a demand for that meat, if you just found a dead
if you're
animal,
not creating a demand.
So that wouldn't really be a moral issue. I mean, we wouldn't eat the meat because it's a corpse and we don't view corpses as
okay,
food.
so you wouldn't have an objection on ethical grounds. That's what I'm trying to get you to admit, is that you wouldn't have an objection on ethical grounds or something like that.
I would say more so roadkill than, say, just a slab of meat that came from a demand that was created and propagated by continuing to consume that meat.
What about my example for the deer? The deer in the Midwest, where they've kind of built a symbiotic relationship with us through hunting because we wiped out a lot of the wolves and stuff. So there's not the typical, predatory ecosystem in the Midwest that there used to be. So if we stop hunting deer go extinct. Where do we draw the line about what is actually ethical here?
Very good point.
Comments?
Do you think? That seems to be the best point made so far, right? That you can't sort of untangle yourself from nature in the way that they've sort of laid out their ethics. The way they've laid out their ethics is utilitarian, right? So the consequences of their actions, they're morally responsible for them. I'd like to see how they're going to answer this, but I know how I'd answer it. I'm not going to go into it, but I think this guy and Godless have probably got this game plan. Excuse me. And I think it's a really good question, don't you?
Yeah, it's a good question. Having already watched this, I know no satisfactory answer is forthcoming.
Yeah.
But
and he won't push it either. He won't, like, no one capitalizes on anything here. It seems to be like throwing shit into the wind, right? And nobody seems to know what they're talking about. That seems to be my issue with it. At least Godless has some sort of like game plan, maybe because of Josh. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more than happy to go on the record and say she's a total noob to this topic. She's not a noob to debating. She's been debating fucking a long time, but on veganism, no, she's clueless, and she's up against two clueless vegans.
Did you know Josh was a vegan? I didn't know Realistic Nihilism was a vegan.
Yeah, I did, because he debated Vohan.
Did he?
Yep.
I did not know.
Or he either debated Vohan or Vohan moderated it. I mean, as if it makes any sense for Vohan to moderate anything. But it was one or the other. I will find you the link.
No, interesting. Yeah, I like Josh.
It's quite an old debate now. If I remember rightly, he's just like chilling on the couch with his laptop in front of him. He's on video doing it. He either debated Vohan or Vohan moderated. It's one or the other. I'll get you the link and I'll send it to you.
Yeah, it's probably the old vegan debate death squad debates that they used to do. Flem and that lot and Agag. Yeah, the good old days.
So, anyone else before we resume? We're not going to go through this entire debate this evening because it will take way the fuck too long. This is just part one, so we'll have maybe another half an hour on it, and then we'll stop.
Cool. Okay, I've got a hot date to go to. So.
Oh, do you? Really?
Ooh.
Bear in mind you're being recorded now, dude. But
don't care.
All right. Does anybody else have any comments? I'm not even sure if there's anybody else in the chat. Oh, there's a couple of people in. Denise, you have anything to say? Patty?
No, not really.
Okay, we'll continue then. Another, say, 20 minutes, and then we'll stop and we'll do part 2 another time.
Okay, sounds good.
Wait, if we stop killing deer go extinct? What do you mean?
Do you guys not know this? Do you not know that we are built upon a symbiotic relationship with the deer in the Midwest for hunting? That's why hunting is such a big deal over there.
By symbiosis, to my understanding, means
we rely upon each other for survival. Yeah.
Right, well, that's contradictory, because how does a deer rely on you for survival?
Sure, the deer, if it eats if there's too many deer, when winter comes, there's not any food for them to eat. They all die out. You see, when we go in and hunt them, we cull the population. We take it down. And so now they have enough food to eat, and then they're able to survive through the winter. This is standard ecological data. I'm surprised you guys don't know this.
They don't have the room that they used to have, because all of this land is
No, I'm talking about the woods. This is the woods. This is the woods in the Midwest. There's lots of woods in the Midwest.
You're talking about the woods. Thank you.
Yes, but human beings have displaced a lot of those woods.
For once, James decides to moderate when he shouldn't. He should shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. I mean, he's the worst moderator ever. Not that I don't like him or something, but as a mod, he's crap.
Yeah, it's like he wakes up like halfway through when people are screaming at each other. I think, I don't know, maybe he's playing at it, but he also, I know Steve isn't watching this, but Steve McRae's on there, and he just lets Steve do whatever he wants. Like, he owns the fucking channel. I found that hilarious.
I mean, like, I've seen
I
James...
love Steve. I won't say shit about him, but
no, it's all good. But like, I've seen James, like, where he should intervene to calm things down and get things back on topic, and he never ever does. And this is the one time I don't want him to intervene, and he fucking does it. It's like, what are you doing? Shut up, fucking moron. Anyway, we'll continue unless somebody else has anything else that they want to say. Guess not. Let's continue.
We stop hunting deer. I'm sorry. I'm just going to make it simple. Should we stop hunting deer?
Hunting is needlessly killing an animal.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you.
That is what that is. Right. And if you're saying that if we stop hunting, then the deer don't have an
objection, Your Honor. Hunting is not needlessly killing an animal. That is a ridiculous statement. I can prove it false very, very
Mhm.
easily. I won't harp on about it. Just thought I should interject it because I haven't said too much. So.
No, that's fine because I do agree. But it depends on the type of hunting, right? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it depends what and why, of course.
Yeah, hunting for pleasure, probably needless. Not necessarily, but because it corresponds with like wildlife conservation, etc. Yeah.
Yeah, but like the bold statement that he just made, Brian, that is
Yeah.
that hunting is. Hang on, let me just go back 1 second. I don't want to.
Yeah. All A's are B's. Blah blah blah.
Straw
Yeah,
man
exactly.
the guy. So I'm gonna stay on the mic while I play this just so that I can hear it.
They don't have the room that they used to have because all of this land is.
No, I'm talking about the woods.
Oh,
This is
she
the
knows
woods.
about land.
This is the
apparently.
woods in the mid. There's lots
All
of
right,
woods in the
got it.
Midwest.
You're talking about the woods. Thank you.
Yes, but
James trolling.
human beings
Probably
have
is.
displaced a lot of those woods.
Should we
And
stop
Here we go.
hunting deer? I'm sorry. I'm just going to make it simple. Should we stop hunting deer?
hunting is needlessly killing an animal.
Okay, beautiful.
Yeah, that's wrong.
There's the statement. Hunting is needlessly killing an animal. That is factually incorrect, and
Yeah.
I would be more than happy to take him on. But
He's
so
he's making a blanket claim. This is the problem. They don't know what they're talking. They literally, when they make statements, they don't understand they don't understand what they're talking about.
no, they definitely don't. And it's quite ironic that you're the only vegan in the server right now who's actually talking to me. So we'll continue.
Oh, well, they will talk to you.
I'm here.
That is what that is. And
Oh,
they're
yeah,
saying that
sorry,
If
I
we
didn't-
stop hunting, then the deer
You didn't
don't
mean
have
that,
enough
but
food.
yeah. You mean
So
other
they all
people.
die. I don't know how they would all
This
die.
is ecological data, sir. I'm really surprised by this. This is not secret info.
But you're saying we hunt their numbers down to a smaller number, and then the smaller number can survive, but for some
Here's the
reason,
thing.
the
through
larger
the winter with less food.
Why
If they all eat all the food because no one hunts them, there's no food for the winter. They all die. It's that simple.
Why would a hunter be interested in keeping up the deer population other than to continue to consume the deer meat? Because
I can answer that. Not that I hunt deer, but I can. It applies to other species as well. It's because we're interested in conservation. Right? It's not the case that a hunter sees something moving and alive and thinks, yeah, we got to kill that for no identifiable reason. That's just not true.
Yeah, it's like they don't know what they. I mean, yeah, I agree. It's really hard to explain this to people who don't know what they're fucking talking about, and then you've got to educate them to a level to which they do know what they're talking about, and then you're never going to get there. You're just never going to get there. So
She's not listening to what he's saying, though. She's just focusing on the fact that they're talking about killing animals. She's not.
She's
Yeah.
waiting
Not
for her
interested in
turn to
why-
talk. Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
And she's talking about people killing them to eat meat, which is not what.
Yeah,
Not
they
what
can.
she's saying.
She's completely they're hitting vegan talking points rather than actually trying to understand the arguments. And I mean, it's really hard for them to understand the arguments. I can get it. It takes a lot of winning and losing debates to get to a point in which you're like, oh, right, I kind of understand the chess game that's being played here. These guys are just throwing out moves. Then they don't understand the other people's moves. They don't understand the board game. They don't understand anything. How they thought they could do this, I don't know. I really don't know why they thought they could even do this.
I think it just shuts down any conversation because,
Yeah, well, they're not. They're just trying to sort of like hit talking points. They're not trying to sort of understand the other person's sort of arguments. I don't think they actually do understand. That's my point.
No.
I don't think they actually do understand the other person's talking points. Sorry, the other person's position. But anyway,
They definitely don't. I mean, like I was about to say, can you imagine me debating these two? But I don't want to make this about me.
how many times would you have to repeat the same fucking thing for them to understand?
I'd do it twice because I can understand that somebody might miss the point the first time, but
I don't. They're not going to answer questions. They're going to be. Well, anyway, we'll move on.
they
I'm
won't
gonna
have a
slag them
fucking
off
choice.
for.
I do.
I like them. I don't.
I think they're stupid.
I do too, but I kind of like them as people. So I've commented on their channel a few times, but so I don't dislike them as people. I just think the points are asinine.
Yeah, I mean, like I take that back. I was being mean, but
You're a big old meanie.
They don't know what they're talking about. It's pretty fucking obvious. But I am a
No, I
meanie
follow them on
sometimes,
Instagram,
but
and they just post things to
Be
sort of
vegan.
create debates, but yeah, it doesn't work.
See, I
if
don't
you follow
mind
them
that.
on Instagram, tell them I'll debate them whenever they want. Right? I'll make
Give them a
sure
link to
I'm
the server.
available.
Spam the links to the server.
I'll do it on
But
their
no,
channel if they want. If they're worried about like weird moderation or something, not that that's what goes on, but
yeah, I mean, I see a difference between being a nice person, being vegan, and having like all these big, and then entering the arena of debate. I have a problem with that, and this is the problem I have right now with these people. They don't know how to debate, and I think it's the hubris that's annoying me, not maybe the arguments so much. Like James shouldn't fucking be on the internet either. Sorry,
that's
but
true.
I love James as well. I'll chat to James. He's a lovely chap. But like with the old non sequitur show, you Kyle can fuck off. He's a prick, but you wouldn't fuck with Steve because Steve actually knows what he's talking about. Whether we disagree with him or not, he can hold his own. Same with Ask Yourself. You might disagree with him, but he can hold his own. Yeah, these guys are just not even. I don't even know what they're doing. This isn't a game I know what they're playing at. I just think they're throwing shit into the air and see how it falls. That's why it triggers me.
Yeah, let's launch a load of it at the wall and see if any of it sticks, right?
Yeah,
That's basically
exactly,
what's
right?
going on here.
It's a fucking jigsaw puzzle, right? Let's go.
Yeah, we'll continue for 10 minutes or something, and then we'll release you from the VC, and you can go and do whatever it is you want to do. So 3, 2, 1, play.
If it were up to the deer, if they
The
have to go
implications.
extinct because that is just the way the ecosystem has evolved, then that is, up to nature.
What the hunter's intention isn't relevant. What Smokey's saying is asking is, are you happy if a hunter saves deer life by killing some amount of deer so that a larger amount can survive if they hadn't otherwise killed them? The hunter's intention is irrelevant.
Yeah, I would need to see evidence that killing deer saves deer lives.
I will shoot it over to your emails if I can find it from your channel.
So you're against all animal testing? So like you want them to just throw out medicine on the market without having tested them?
No, there are plenty of human situations in relevantly speaking now, like with COVID-19, there are plenty of human volunteers.
Right, so you're against all animal testing, even if that leads to a greater amount of suffering in the world.
What's your evidence for that?
No, let's say it did. Like, well, I mean,
why would we assume?
How do we not? Well, wait a minute. How do we not get drugs or pharmaceuticals or anything without animal testing? We'd have to test on humans. How is that more ethical?
Those methods now. We are, there are. I mean, for example, a few years ago, I had a pterygium in my eye, and I volunteered to test these new drops. I don't think testing them on cats would be beneficial. Because they can't tell you if it stings, or how they feel. Can they see well? So there are certain.
Right, I paused it because I think she's on the Anna. That is on the verge of a good point. I've said that a couple of times, but say that you can't detect whether a cat is or not. That's false.
Breaking up a bit there, buddy.
Bollocks! I'm back.
Yeah. If you swear a bit more, it might work a bit better. I'm sure Axe just ate your fucking cable, Ad.
No, to be fair, it had nothing to do with him. I blame him for a lot, but it wasn't him. But on this point that she made about the cats and like the eye drops and all that, to say that you can't discern anything from animal testing because they can't speak to you, that's false. You obviously can. Now, I have issues with animal testing, but it's a like entire debate in and of itself. But she's talking crap when she says that you can't know whether it stings or something. Like, yes, you can. And Johnson's, what was it called? No More Tears shampoo or something. That was like the benchmark for that. Because they tested it on rabbits. Now, I'm not saying I agree with that. I probably don't agree with that. But like, she's just actually wrong in that regard. So
I think Britain actually has the most strong position on animal testing for non-essential products in pharmaceuticals. So, like, you can't now cut the eyelids off a rabbit and then drop shampoo into it, which is absolutely fucking immoral. I'll stand by that. I'll argue with anyone against that.
yeah, I would agree with you.
Yeah. And putting, will lipstick look good on a dog? Like, let's put it on 1,000 times and see if it irritates the lips of a dog. No, you're not doing that. That's bullshit. When you're testing a drug that can save the lives of millions of human beings, like maybe like 100 rats are a good trolley problem. I'm happy to sort of like admit to that. I would definitely pull the lever on that. And it just comes down to sort of those sort of ethics for me. Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know what they're on about. I don't think they understand what the fuck they're talking about again. But there you go.
Yeah, no, I
It
agree.
depends
Oh, sorry,
Depends
go
why
ahead.
you're testing. Sorry, it depends why you're testing something, and if it's a cosmetic like lipstick, it's not necessary. But if you're
Yeah.
talking about COVID, like she is, then of course
Yeah.
saving millions of lives. It's
Yep.
how is
Exactly.
that ethical to just say, well,
Mhm.
we're going to
Mhm.
save, like you said, 100 rats. It's just it makes no sense at all.
Yeah.
That's
And then,
not
but then,
ethical.
but then I do know some people who will sort of push back on that and sort of, and they'll say, well, if you're willing to do that, would you be willing to do this, 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 and this? And the trolley problems just get more and more insane to the point like it's.
But it
What was that?
generalizes too much. You can't generalize like that. You can't
But
just
then
say it's one thing or another.
Yeah, but you can say like the extent of your moral system results in X, and X is something you disagree with, therefore you ought not do it. But it's called the principle of explosion. I think it's called. Is it SD? But
There is the principle of explosion, but
yeah, if you contradict yourself at any point along a line of reasoning, something, it explodes into logical sort of phenomenism. But
Isn't it? It's too you can't.
everything does that, right? Every moral system I can sort of like push back on at a certain point. I can give you a hypothetical in which every moral system just like deteriorates. Do you remember that debate that I was having that you looked at that that guy was arguing with you on Facebook? That's what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Like every normative system explodes into something that you're not prepared to intuitively sort of like defend. I can make everything sound like insane, right? We can have what does ask yourself say, SD? Boxes of universes, infinite numbers of highly sentient beings being destroyed infinitely over time. It's like, yeah, okay. Well, I disagree with that intuitively. Does that make my my navigation of the universe or the navigation of like society that I experience right now, the thing I'm experiencing right now, and my normative theory, does it like make that? Does it make that sort of irrelevant? No, it doesn't. It makes it fall out at some other sort of like period in time. All we're doing is like, and I'm totally derailing this conversation. I'm so sorry, but
no, you're good.
But you know what I'm talking about. So all we're doing is trying to find some sort of like moral system that works within a strict boundary. And that strict boundary is like our society. If society changes, my normative system will probably change. I'll never be a never be a deontologist. But I will. I'll change. Anyway, move on.
You both ready to move on? 5 more
Sorry,
minutes.
yeah.
Yep.
I will bore her later.
Okay, right. We're hitting play. Let's go.
I think we're moving past that already. I mean, unfortunately, it's still pretty prevalent. And I don't know if you're familiar with Peter Singer's book, but there are some horrible treatments that animals are subjected to for no reason.
No, I disagree there. I don't see how it could
fuck is she
possibly
doing?
be no reason. If they're especially doing it for pharmaceutical studies or something like that, they're trying to see what the byproducts are, so that they know what it happens to the animal body before they introduce it to humans.
Well,
So what
there's
you're
a lot
actually
of
calling for,
evil.
I'm sorry to say, is to skip animal testing, go straight to humans, let humans deal with all the byproducts or the conditions that might come from not testing these on humans. You're going to increase human suffering for the sake of decreasing animal suffering, and yet this is ethical. Help me with this.
Well, there
No,
are
humans-
plenty of
Nice straw,
humans
They
who volunteer. Like
The
even
animals don't volunteer.
there's a Netflix
Why are
documentary
they
right now
biting?
called Lenox Hill
Jesus
about
Christ.
a hospital in Manhattan
Do you want to pause?
that specializes in
No, I'm just
brain
gonna talk
surgery
over
and
him.
tumors, and they
That's
were
good.
literally testing a new drug on a volunteer patient. And that's real. That happens.
We're not
So
selecting human beings out of the blue and forcing them into these tests.
So because we have the free will to choose to be in them, we are somehow ethically excused from
I mean,
it. as
people
opposed
are
to-
just going to end up volunteering because they want, because they.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of drug addicts that'll do almost anything
They
for
pay
50
people
bucks.
money to be like guinea pigs in a test lab, and then like they have to sign contracts that they fucking lose a hand. It's okay, and then they just do it because they need the money.
Yep.
Or they just want to.
Or they want to be helpful and be part of the solution. Yeah.
Could I
Oh,
switch
God, they're
the
retarded.
topic a
I'm
little
gonna
bit here?
mute.
Are we cool with this, or are we going to keep going on this? Okay.
Do you want to pause?
I am
You
curious about one thing too. You guys had mentioned you live
No,
in
I don't want to call them retarded.
kind of
Over like
dense
15 minutes.
residential urban
I'll just
area.
rant.
And you also mentioned that you rescue chickens. Are you familiar or concerned with the common diseases that farm animals carry and what they might be introducing to your neighbors in a highly dense urban environment where they might not have the immunities to farm
See, now,
diseases?
this is a shitty point. I'm going to have to pause. Like, Smokey is making a...
You there?
Yes.
Okay. You went all clicky and then stopped.
Am I here now?
You're a bit clicky.
Okay.
Clicker. Made it sound Welsh, didn't I?
Almost.
I've only had 2 beers.
Not at all.
Shut up. Cathral.
What's the what was their point there?
Right,
they probably missed it.
the point that I was... Sorry, was it that I was making that you wanted to hear, or...
You're completely fucking listenable after God.
Okay, I'm the record. If it's that.
It's really bad, bro.
That's just infuriating.
Me and Leah will take over. You sit down. We'll do it.
Leah's not taking over anything.
You...
I need another beer. Fuck me. All right. See, 2 beers and this is me. I'm such a fucking lightweight.